Hey guys, this is Mike, and we are here to talk about the season finale of Scream Season 2 and the killer reveal. Just a little thing I want to throw out there real quick, just so you guys all know. Anybody who bothers to comment, it was blah blah blah, and just says the name of the killer, I'm just going to delete that comment. For other people, feel free to comment stuff like, oh, this, that, the other, blah, blah, blah. We can talk about it, it's all fine, whatever. People probably shouldn't read the comments, but anybody who literally just the killer was this person just to spoil it for people, whatever, I'm just going to delete your comments, so don't even bother. But the people who would do that probably don't listen to this video anyway, so who cares? Okay, jumping right into it, this episode was called When a Stranger Calls, which, I think totally plays on the last bit, the very tiny bit at the end, which we'll get to. But it was originally called The Grudge, which, makes more sense, but at the same time is kind of like a giveaway, but not really, because anybody who's a killer probably has a grudge against them. Duh. So it was switched to When a Stranger Calls. It's on the theater marquee. So this episode was directed by my man, Patrick Lussier. Patrick Lussier, I mentioned on the last one, was the editor for, I said all three, then I corrected myself and said all four. Turns out he didn't edit the fourth one. I guess I subconsciously remembered that somehow. But somebody, I believe it was Nathan Todd, I'm sorry if I got that wrong. So he has been the editor, Patrick Lussier has been the editor for all three original Screams, especially the original, and he does a really cool callback to the original towards the end of this one, which I thought was so cool as a fan. Oh my god, it was great. So it seems like they were trying to set this up earlier in the season, and then they kind of dropped it. Makes sense. It's a little hard to keep going, but that one episode picks up where the last one left off. This one picks up on that again, and picks up exactly where the last one left off. So we have Emma and Audrey in the back of the cop car. Audrey's like, hey, we're not the killers, let us out. And the deputy is, of course, like, shut the fuck up, stay back there. And he's looking back at them, telling them, and the killer's just standing there in the road. That was pretty stupid of the killer, but, anyway. So the killer's just standing there with, his knife out in the road, and the cop, instead of hitting him with his 10-ton vehicle, I would have chased the killer down, if he ran. So the killer's standing in the middle of the road. The cop swerves to miss this psycho murderer, and, I guess it could have been somebody pretending to be the killer, standing out in the middle of the road in a Brandon James mask and everything, but whatever, fair game. You're getting run down, I don't care who you are. So the cop crashes the car. The cop then gets out of the car. The killer jumps up, stabs the hell out of him, just over and over, just and the cop is shooting off the gun at the same time. I was like, nice, this is a nice touch. Again, brutal killing. The killer then goes around, disappears, and that was, I don't know, I took it as a slight callback to the original where Stu has her, locked in Dewey's cop car and shows her the keys and then boom, goes down. So it is a quick version of that. The killer opens the door, shows them the knife, then holds up some keys, throws them at Audrey, and then runs off into the woods. Stank-ass Emma, who I actually liked in this episode, Emma finally stepped up, it's about time. But Emma's like, oh my god, those are the keys to the cuffs. And Audrey's just like, I fucking know, Emma, Jesus Christ, just shut the fuck up. Let's get out of here. So they get out of the cop car, they run. Emma runs back, she grabs the gun, and then they head off into the woods. Scream. Cut to Lang talking to the sheriff, and she's going over this whole thing. She speaks French, and I don't speak French. I can't remember what she says exactly, but it translates to the madness of two, which is really cool. That should be a band name. So she's talking about the madness of two, and one person being crazy can influence another person being crazy, and all this really cool stuff that, if anything, the Scream movies have all been about that, because other than stupid Part 3, it's all been about, how two people can influence each other and become killers. So anyway, that plays in pretty big later in the episode, but right now it's just Lang with a big old gash on her forehead talking to the cop and blah, blah, blah. Cut to the two final girls. They run up to this rickety-ass gas station, which still has a nasty-ass landline, but whatever, who cares? So they go in, and Emma's like, I'm going to see if I can use their Wi-Fi. And the guy behind the counter, he gets a call, right as they come in. And he's like, this is a strange question, but are any of you two bitches named Emma? And she's like, yeah, that's me. And he's like, the phone's for you. She's like, oh, that's cool. And so she just takes the phone, and it's, of course, guess who? It's like, hey, Emma, what are you doing at that gas station? I'm glad I left you out in the woods, and, you've been running around all night, evidently. If you turn yourself in, I'm going to get somebody you love, yada, yada, yada. And sure as shit, the TV in the background shows that Emma and Audrey are running from the cops, just take off, basically. Then we cut to Brooke cutting up some oranges. She's all upset about her dad dying. There's a whole thing, actually, about oranges. It started, it's in The Godfather. It's in a few things that oranges symbolize somebody's going to die or death or whatever. So I was like, no, Brooke, run, don't. And sure shit, like Gustavo's creepy ass comes to the door. I'm like, no, Brooke, don't answer the door. Oh my God, get a bigger knife. That knife was about twice the size of her anyway. But I was like, no, Brooke, don't let him in. So he comes in and he's like, did you see the video? And she's like, yeah, I saw the video. And he's like, it totally makes Audrey out to look like the bad guy. And I think she is. And Brooke's like, I don't think either of my friends are the bad guy. You need to go the fuck away. And good for her. Shouldn't have let him in, but still. So she's like, get your creeper ass out of here. Where was you? Your phone wasn't on last night. Oh, that's all really convenient. Get the fuck out of here before I stab you. And we get a little glimpse into what Gustavo's thing eventually ends up being, is that he's like, all right, if you want me to go, I'll go. As he's walking out, he looks and he sees a cop patrolling. Now, that was really cool because, one, anybody who thinks that Gustavo was like, oh, yeah, that's the reason he's not murdering her ass in the kitchen right now, making her into juice, is because there is a cop out front. As it turns out later, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, but again, we've all seen the episode, it's the reason he allows her to be alone and he decides to go ahead and listen to her and, leave, is because he looks and sees that there's a cop and there's somebody there to protect her. Like, oh boy, that stuff got me later on in the episode. But anyway, so yeah, Gustavo knows she's safe, so he fucks off. So then we cut to Emma and Audrey. They would go over to Kieran's house, and Emma's like, here, you stay here in the bushes and take this gun. I'm going to run inside and talk to my boyfriend and give him kisses. And Audrey's like, I don't think we have time for this, and shouldn't we throw this cop's gun away because we totally look like we're incriminated and stuff? And Emma's like, no, you keep it. And which actually was a pretty smart idea. I mean, you probably stay armed. I don't care how much trouble you're going to get in. I'm going to keep a gun near me. So good for you, Emma, actually. So then cut to Emma running like a goof. Like, Emma runs like a goof twice in this episode. Like, it was actually kind of adorable. She runs so goofy. Like, every girl that I know who, like, I adore runs like a total goof too, so fair enough. So Emma's goofy ass comes running around the corner. She jumps into Kieran's window. Kieran comes out from the shower and he's like, oh my God, what a long night that was, having to crash a cop. Hey Emma, what are you doing here? And she's like, oh my God, Kieran, I love you and I miss you. Give me kisses. Now, I put up this really silly video yesterday of Emma and Kieran's relationship in a nutshell, and some people commented, and I commented back, that it was like, if that scene actually ends up in this episode, I'm going to die. So it very closely resembled that, actually, other than Kieran being a dick, because, Kieran has to keep up appearances. But basically, that's what the scene was. She breaks in, she's like, oh my God, Kieran, I love you, give me kisses, blah, 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 blah. Killer flavor kisses. And so they kiss a whole bunch, and he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I just wanted to come over here real quick and let you know where we're going to be, so you can be there if you want to. Don't tell the killer. And he's like, oh, yeah, okay, no problem, I won't. And so then Audrey's outside. She sees that Eli's old sketchy ass pulling up in his Mustang. How the fuck did he get that? They should have dropped that plot line. Anyway, so he pulls up. He comes into the house. It's the promo we all saw from last week. He goes in. He hears Emma and Kieran talking, so he busts in. And Emma's ass jumps out the window. Kieran's sitting there, and Kieran's hair is all messed up. Like, Kieran's serious now because his hair is all types of messed up. So they have their little thing. We all saw it on the one episode, blah, blah, blah. He's like, you can't stop me from doing what I want to do, which has a really cool payoff later. And Emma and Audrey underneath the window, they run off, and we move on. And we cut to the outside of the movie theater, which is playing Bum 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 When a Stranger Calls. Wow, go figure. And some really actually upbeat music starts playing. I was like, all of a sudden, like, this intense scene in this intense episode, and all of a sudden it's like, this is actually a pretty good song. Anyway, so I'm listening to the song, having a good time, and I'm just wondering if it's the remake of When a Stranger Calls or the original. Being that this is MTV Scream, it's probably the remake, but in all seriousness, it's probably the original, which if you haven't seen that, ooh, that shit is spooky. Check that out as soon as possible. Really, you only have to watch the first, 10 minutes or so definitely make sure you do that. A cop car drives by, and Emma's goofy ass comes running out of the bushes with Audrey. Audrey's like, keep up, Emma. And she's like, I can't run fast. So they run to the back of the door. They break in, blah, blah, blah. Audrey's like, oh, I used to keep a key out here because I locked my ass out one time. So anyway, and they enter into the building. Cut to Brooke goes to see Noah, and Brooke is so good in this scene, in this whole episode, but she was so good in this scene. And she's all upset because, again, her dad died, and Noah's trying to comfort her. And I'm just like, oh, poor Brooke. Like, she's like crying and she's really upset. And she's like, he used to make me juice and I loved him. And he wore suits and he was a dick, but he made me juice every morning. And I was just like, come on, Noah, do something. Like, hug her, man. Like, make her some juice. Give her a cookie. Do something, man. Come on, man. She's asking for it. Gustavo ain't here. What are you going to do? Emma calls Noah at this point, and she's like, have you talked to Brooke? And he's like, yeah, Brooke's here. And so he gives the phone to Brooke. Brooke takes it, and Brooke starts acting sketchy. Ooh, boy, she starts acting sketchy. But I think that was just good acting and directing to throw her off a little bit, because, I mean, just the look she was giving and the whole, like, general sketchiness of her in this scene. I was like, oh my god, is Brooke the killer? Oh my god, that would be so cool. Somebody mentioned on Twitter, I believe it was Brittany Foster, she was like, if it would be so silly if Brooke's the killer. And I agree. I'm not, trying to say it wouldn't be silly if Brooke was the killer, but at the same time, I would have had a fucking party if Brooke ended up being the killer. I would have been so excited about that. But, I'll take reason over awesomeness in this one case. But they have a little conversation, not much going on there. She's like, oh, we're going to be at the theater. Don't come to the theater. Why the fuck did you tell her that you were at the theater then, Emma? Stupid ass Emma. So she's like, yeah, I'm at the theater, but don't come here and help me. And Brooke's like, okay, sure, no problem. Hangs up. She's like, no, they're at the theater. Let's go help them. Noah's like, okay, no problem. Noah hops up, and then there's this cute little thing where he's like, oh, I guess I need pants first. And Brooke's like, oh, yeah, probably put on some pants. And then they run off to join them at the theater. Then we cut to another intense but really good scene of Daisy and the sheriff in Emma's room. And, like, Daisy, the actress, Tracy Mendeloff, whatever her name is, from New Nightmare, she kills this scene. Like, nice. She can be a good actress. That's what I'm saying. They're all good actresses. They just get regulated to having scenes where they just talk in circles, basically. So she's really good in this scene, and she kills it. She's like, don't prosecute my daughter. I love her. She's my baby. And Sheriff Acosta's like, I know it's hard to suspect someone you love. Get it? And she's like, I don't suspect them, you do. And he's like, have you read her dream journal? She's like, how do you know about that? And he was like, I found it at the crime scene, Kieran. I mean, the killer left it, and I looked through it, and it's all about, like, I have bad dreams, I kill people, she looks pretty sketchy. We're going to go ahead and arrest her for this. And she's like, oh, you think she handcuffed herself? And he was like, I don't know, but I'm about to find that shit out. Then we go back to the movie theater. Everybody else arrives, being Noah, Brooke, and Kieran shows up. And Kieran's one who lets them all in. They all hug. It's all cute, blah, blah, blah. The girls go off to the bathroom, and they get a call, and the killer starts taunting Brooke. He's like, oh, little daddy's girl is there. I'm like, you motherfucker, you stay away from Brooke. I'll kill you. I'll kill you for real. And right before the killer calls, we get a little scene of Noah and Kieran out in the lobby. So, slick move. You didn't quite get it, but slick move. Nice try. We cut to Nook. See, there you go. Nook and Noah. Noah and Brooke guarding the front doors. And, there was that promo shot of her with the scythe, which I absolutely love, and I think it's the most adorable thing ever and awesome. And they cut it out of the episode. I'm like, fuck you guys. I swear to God. If there's one criticism I have for this whole episode, it's like, why did you cut that shot out? My God, you guys, come on. So anyway, they cut out my favorite shot. So they're standing there and they have this really awesome conversation that doesn't have that shot in it, and I fucking hate the scene because of that. But anyway, it was a good scene. And then Gustavo's creepy ass shows up. He's like, don't, open the doors, let me in. And she's like, no, I'm not letting you in, you stay back. He's like, why do you have a hook? And she's like, you stay back or I'm going to use this hook. And he's like, you texted me to come over here, that's why I'm here. She's like, I didn't text you. And he slams his cell phone up against the door, and sure as shit, it says, Brooke. A message from Brooke. Hey, come to the theater. That's where I am, and I'm holding the hook, and I'm hot. And she's just like, I didn't send you that message. And they won't let him in, and he gets all mad, and he runs off. And the two of them hear screams coming from the theater. They run in, and there is a video of the murders, like Nina's murder, all of them, playing on the movie screen. And someone's like, oh my God, somebody must be up in the booth. And Kieran's like, I was just up there. I didn't say, yeah, you're right. Somebody probably is up in the booth, but I wouldn't know. Anyway, so at the same moment, it seems to me that Audrey is gone. So I'm going to go look for Audrey in the back. Just basically keep letting this movie play, Emma. Don't run up there the second I leave and turn it off. Okay, I'm going to go look for Audrey. I'll be right back. And so Kieran runs off, and Emma's like, yeah, don't worry, I won't go up into the booth. He disappears around the corner. She's like, I got to go up in the booth and turn it off. She doesn't ever listen to him. I swear to God, it could have saved her life, but anyway, well, not she dies, but unfortunately. But anyway, so she immediately runs up there and turns off the video. That pisses Kieran off. That pisses the killer off. And so the killer comes running back in and pops up and stabs Brooke. And, like, I have a video reaction that I said I was going to do, and I did it. And video just takes a long time to upload. Like, that's why I put up that silly video yesterday. I just wanted to see how quickly I could make something, upload it. You know what I mean? I was just testing out the workflow of it. It took a little bit longer than I wanted to. It would have tied up the computer, so I want to do this first. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to upload it later. So it'll be up sometime later today. But unfortunately, I didn't record the entire episode because I knew the killer wasn't going to be revealed until, you know, at least halfway through. So I started recording after this because it's like, oh boy, that would have been a good reaction to get out of me because, I mean, I can tell you what my reaction to that part was. You remember Gustavo's reaction later? Yeah, that's exactly what mine was. I was all man crying, and so I was like, no, bro, God, Jesus Christ, no, bro, I'll kill you. Oh my God. I was genuinely upset, but I was like, they're not going to actually kill her because he would have slit her throat or something. But at the same time, you don't think rationally when something like that happens. I'm like, no, Brooke, use the hook. Jesus Christ, Brooke. So anyway, yeah, Brooke gets stabbed, and like, yeah, that was an emotional part for me. And so Emma runs down. She shoots at the killer. She fucking misses the killer 2 feet away. Ugh. Give that gun to somebody who knows how to use it. Audrey knows how to use guns. She gave it to Audrey, then took it back. Like, just leave weapons with Audrey. She really could have used it. So anyway, she runs down, killing... There we go. Damn. Freud would love this. Anyway, so Kieran's down there now, and he's like, oh, Brooke, are you okay? Oh my God, somebody stabbed you. That's totally crazy. And so Emma comes down, find out Audrey's gone. The cops start coming in. Kieran's like, Emma, you need to run your ass away. And she's like, okay, and just goofy runs off with a gun into the whatever, and the cops come in. Brooke in surgery, she's getting wheeled in, blah, blah, blah. And Kieran gets a call. It's from Noah's phone. It ends up being Emma. So he's talking to Emma. He's like, hey, Emma, I'm not the killer. And she's like, yeah, I know. Why do you keep saying... Anyway, how's Brooke? And he's like, oh, she's doing okay. She should be fine. And he's like, oh, yeah, Noah's in with her right now or whatever. Then Emma, like, basically straight up hangs up. The killer calls, and the killer's like, face the mask or Audrey dies, and sends her, like, Snapchat of Audrey all tied up. So then it cuts to Noah, and he's waiting to, you know, see how Brooke's doing, and Gustavo comes walking up. Ooh. And this is another... I would have deleted this. I'll talk about it, but I wouldn't show you guys this. Is, like... I was really nervous watching this episode because, you know, this is a big deal for me. This is like a few months leading up to all this. So I was like all nervous and excited, all these types of things, and just a bunch of emotions going, you know. Men have emotions. So anyway, and Gustavo comes around the corner and he's got all those like tears in his eyes. And it's not even tears in his eyes. It was better than that. It was like just his face is like swollen, having been crying and everything. And like that shit got me. I was like, I don't know if I actually cried, but I was like, I feel your pain, bro. Like, that was just such a nice moment. Everyone's like, Gustavo's got to be the killer. But he ends up being just like such a nice, awesome guy. It's like, just like somebody else later in the episode. So anyway, they talk, and it's a really nice moment. He has a nice moment with his dad, yada, yada, yada. And then Noah tells the sheriff, he's like, hey, let me borrow your phone. Look at this. Eli is a sketchy dude. The sheriff's like, oh my God. And runs off to find Eli, who evidently, not to spoil anything, but Eli's ass was like outside the hospital at this point getting stabbed or some shit. Anyway, so then Emma got the call from the killer, told her to go to face the mask. Emma goes into the asylum, and Kieran calls her, and he's like, where are you, Emma? She's like, I can't tell you. And he's blah, blah, blah. It's like now she finally decides not to tell somebody where she's going. Ugh. Emma wasn't that bad this episode. I'm just playing. So anyway, they talk for a little bit. He's like, I love you. She's like, I love you too. And I don't even think it's like call waiting. Again, very slick move. But gee, just like somebody he forgot in the carnival episode when he only tied up one of his hands, some people might forget that human beings have two hands and can hold two cell phones at one time. Anyway, I don't want to spoil anything, of course, for somebody who listening to this who didn't watch an episode. But anyway, that was a pretty slick move. So call waiting. She finishes talking to Kieran. She answers, and it's like, oh, hello, Emma. Time to face the mask, and you're a bitch, and blah, 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 and you're never going to feel safe again. She's like, you can kiss my ass, and she hangs up, and then the killer jumps out at her a reasonable amount of time later. The killer jumps out at her. Serial arm stabbing killer from season 1. Everybody got stabbed in the arm in season 1. Serial arm stabber returns and stabs Emma in the arm. Emma starts shooting at him in a fucking hallway. I mean, it's a stairway, but still, in a fucking stairway, and still misses him. She shoots at him 4 fucking times and still misses him. So the killer gets away. Emma goes upstairs. She finds Audrey taped to a chair. And then that is when stuff gets good. I gotta take a little break real quick before I get into this shit. Okay, so yeah, I had to take a quick little break before I get into all this shit. Emma goes upstairs. She finds that Audrey's tied up. And then Kieran's ass enters. And she's like, oh my god, how did you know where I was? And I forget what he even says. I only watched the episode once because I don't have to break down any killer theories necessarily. I'll do more of those on the season review. And Killer Congrats, which should be coming up within the week. So he comes in. And, I just want to point this out real quick. Who the fuck put those pictures up on IMDb? I couldn't find them on I didn't say anything about it. I didn't comment about it. I didn't do any of that. But I went on IMDb like I usually do. And there were a whole bunch of pictures on there. There's about 6 of them. And one of them, well, they were pretty incriminating pictures. So incriminating, in fact, that I was like, oh my god, maybe he's not the killer, because it totally makes him out to be. And so I don't know who put those pictures up. That was pretty lame. I went to the Facebook, it wasn't there. The Twitter, they weren't there. The official site, it wasn't there. So I don't know who put that up on IMDb. But anyway, they've been up for a few days now. But like I said, there wasn't total confirmation. But now that we've seen the episode, so I don't want to be anticlimactic here because I'm leading up to something, but I just wanted to say, fuck you, IMDb. So anyway, they're all standing around. They're all like, oh, we need to get out of here. Blah, blah, blah. And then Eli's sketchy ass enters. And he's all bloody and he's got a knife and everything. And he's like, oh my god, Kieran stabbed me. And I was trying to leave the hospital and Kieran came up and stabbed me. And Kieran's like, he's lying. He's the sketchy dude. He's lying. He's totally lying. And this is the funny thing about Eli. Eli is so sketchy looking all the time that him covered in blood and holding a bloody knife, this is the less sketchy, the less creepy he's ever looked. He actually looked kind of vulnerable in this scene. That just says something about him right there. He comes in, he's like, yeah, he stabbed me and he left me for dead. I pretended that I was dead. And why didn't Kieran? This is why Kieran stabs everybody 100 million times, and then he didn't do it to Eli's nasty ass. Eli's like, I pretended like I was dead, and then I call the cops, and the cops know that it's you, and he's like, it's totally not me, I swear to God, it's not me, Emma, he's being crazy. And then he starts saying, he's like, Kieran's the reason I came to Lakewood, da-da-da-da-da-da, boom, and there was this girl in Atlanta, and he blamed her for me because he liked her, and he posted nude pics online, there's a whole bunch of plot threads that don't quite make sense, and I'm going to watch the episode again, but it's like, who put the ayahuasca then? I kind of think that was Gustavo. I guess we'll find out in season 3. Make sure to sign that petition for season 3. I'll put a link. It'll be in the link. Make sure, sign that. I guess we'll find out a lot of these floating plot threads, but whatever. I don't care about those too much. But I think Gustavo did it to see if anybody, because he's the one who hands it out. So it's like the killer delivered the tequila, and then Gustavo went and put ayahuasca in it to see if he could, talk to people about it, and or maybe just hook up with Brooke with his sketchy ass. So anyway, I think he did that, and so I do think it's pretty cool because the killer got drugged against his will in that episode. Pretty cool. And he makes a move, and Emma shoots Eli. Finally. If I was Emma, I would have shot his ass in the second episode when he showed up and was all creepy in that hallway, and he was like, hey girl, what's your name? Like, pah! Fuck you. By the way, where's Kieran's gun? Seriously, this, like I said, there's just a whole bunch of floating plot threads that don't quite make sense, but I guess we'll figure them out, and for the most part, I don't mind them. So Emma gives Kieran the gun, derp, and unties Audrey, and Kieran goes over to Eli's body, and he's like, don't worry, Emma, the killer's dead now, and you will be safe again. And Emma finally starts using her fucking brain. Like I said, I liked Emma in this episode. She's like, what did you say? And he's like, oh, okay, now you're starting to pick up on shit. And she's like, no, wait. You said you will be safe again. The killer on the phone said you'll never be safe again. Are you the killer? And he was like, no, I'm not. Oh, fuck it, whatever. Yes, fine. Everybody's been right. Like, okay, fine, yes, I'm the killer. So he reveals himself to be the killer. Nice. And he does a pretty good job acting through it. Like, he looked just like Billy Loomis. I was like, damn, holy hell. And one thing I really want to point out here is congratulations to E-Car. Like, I'm going to do the killer congrats, and there's going to be a whole thing. But E-Car is somebody who I've been talking to since season 1, and we've emailed back and forth a whole bunch of stuff. But this motherfucker has been all over Kieran since the very beginning. He's taken endless amounts of notes. Like, this guy is almost, if not crazier than I am when it comes to this stuff, OCD-wise. And he pretty much called every single detail. Like, I mean, yes, I called Kieran. Yes, a bunch of you called Kieran, blah, blah, blah. And since like episode 3 of this season, and yes, some people thought it was him last season. But yeah, E-Car has been on Noah's ass, or Kieran's ass, since the beginning. So good job, E-Car. So it turns out he was Piper's boyfriend, yada, yada, yada. We all saw the episode. Emma's like, "Oh, fuck you," and runs off. Finally, being a little proactive, and she runs off. So anyway, she runs off, and Kieran grabs Audrey and like starts leading her around like he's got her on a leash, which I thought was pretty funny. And she's wearing the raincoat and everything, which again, thought was a nice touch. And then they go in this room with a whole bunch of creepy dolls and stuff in it, and they have their final confrontation, which this was really cool. And this is what I was talking about at the beginning with Patrick Lussier, is this was really cool. And I really respect the episode, and I really like it because of this one part. Is think back to the original Scream. Love it. When they're in the kitchen, and Billy is behind Sydney, and he's holding her, and Stu has the gun on Sydney, right? And in this episode, in this part, so fucking cool, is that the two final girls, our two Sydneys, now are doing the same exact thing, but to the killer. Like, that was such an awesome reversal. I was just like in heaven with this. I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. This is so fucking cool. And like, he's about as, well, Sydney was more banged up, but like Audrey's wearing the raincoat, so she looks like the killer, and Emma's holding the gun and is all bloody like Stu and Billy were. It was just, so perfection. Like, I loved it. This episode went so much points for that. So he's like, "Go ahead and kill me then, Emma," and she doesn't, which again I thought was really fucking cool. This has got to be one of the first times that I've seen that. I mean, we've seen final girls before be like, "I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to make you live with this," and da 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 da. And then they eventually end up shooting the killer. Like, the killer's like, "Oh god, I'm so sad. I'm going to have to spend my life in prison." Jumps out at her, and she ends up shooting him. That doesn't happen. She's like, puts the gun right to his head. She's like, "I'm not going to kill you." The cops enter. Happy ending. She hands over the gun, and I'm like, this is the best fucking episode, I swear to God. And it cuts to 3 months later. Noah's doing his podcast voiceover thing. Everything's good. Sheriff Gustavo and Brooke are all like living happily together. And if this is just one little production thing that I noticed, if you look, they repainted and refurbished Kieran's house to look like Sheriff Acosta's house and Gustavo's house, but it's the same exact location. Just a little thing that I noticed. Anyway, so they're all together. They're all happy. Emma and Audrey are watching movies in the movie theater, and they're eating popcorn together, and they're kissing and all this. Oh, nope. See, I'm joking. Somebody out there is like, "What? They were kissing? Did I miss that scene?" No, I'm just kidding. But they're all happy and lovely together. And then it cuts to Daisy at the tree. The white knife is stabbed into the tree with the note that says, "You stay away from her," and it's got blood on it. Real quick, just a little thing is, I think that was Kieran who put that there. And, because Eli knew about the tree, Kieran knew about the tree. That's where his dad died. So Kieran got the note. Kieran has long since dug up that knife. And so, because he was living at the pig house, he stabbed that into the tree. And then we go to the very last part where we see Kieran in jail wearing the orange jumpsuit, and someone's like, "You got a call from your lawyer." And he goes to the phone, and someone's like, "Who said you could wear my mask?" So fucking cool. So cool. Anyway, I think that was Daisy. Yes, I do. Now she's pissed off. Now Daisy is gonna get that ass. All very cool. And that was an awesome way to end the episode. I loved it. This is arguably the best episode. I mean, episode 5 was really good. 7 of the last season, the last episode of last season. But this one was really fucking good. But I still think episode 10 of this season with Noah in the box might be the best episode. But this one was really fucking good. So just a few things and wrap this up real quick, because I want to get this out as soon as possible. Is sign the petition for season 3 and look for the reaction video that's going to be coming up soon, and the killer congrats, where I'll put all your names up on screen. You know, it'll be really good, and that'll go along with the season review. And then also I still have the bonus episode 10 recap coming for you guys. So if this is the last video you watch, it was fun, it was great, a lot of good stuff the whole time, and for the most part, we all figured it out. Good times. And it didn't even ruin it. It did not ruin the fun of the episode, having figured it out. It was still an awesome episode. So, again, if this is the last episode you listen to, I got more stuff coming, but still, this is Mike signing off for Final Killer Theories here on Fright Flicks. It was fun. Later on, guys.